Hey there Wargamers, Jstncloud here with another video in my Tactical Tuesday series. This video is a follow-up to my previous video where I talked about Tau and Space Marines as allies, specifically the fact that they are battle brothers. When I did my previous video, we were looking at the 6th edition Tau Codex and the 5th edition Codex Marine book. Now, a few things have changed because the Space Marine 6th edition Codex is now on the market. With that being said, I'm not really going to cover all the material I covered in my previous video because most of the tactics are still there and still sound. I will do a quick blanket overview of some of the things or some of the ideas that are still the same and, things that are the same but have new things added to them, if that makes any sense. Really quickly, if you're running Tau as battle brother allies to Space Marines, they are your allied detachment in other words, the Tau have good units in every entry of the Codex, from their troop choices, their elites, their heavy, their fast attack. I think I got everything there. Yeah, I think I got everything. Alright, so each one of those, if you bring them as an allied detachment, you can put a good unit in each selection of the force organization chart that you are bringing in. Alternatively, if you're bringing Space Marines in as allies or Battle Brother allies for your Tau, they have good HQ selection choices, specifically librarians, and they bring to the table good troops. They bring to the table great heavy support options. Their fast attack options, depending on what you bring in, are meh. So in my opinion, probably really if you're bringing in fast attack from the Codex Marine book, probably bringing in the Storm Talon, because the assault troops really aren't. They're okay. I guess you could bring those in, but that's not one of the staple units that you'd really want to bring in. You could, but there's nothing about them that says, hey, we're overpowered, let's bring them in. For example, if you're bringing in Tau as allies for Codex Marines, you're probably going to bring a Riptide. That's one of the slots. So I feel like some of the other Force Org slots for the Codex Marines would get filled before the fast attack. That being said, they're heavies, fast attack, elite slots, really good choices, particularly now that the Stern Guard veterans, they were good 5th edition. They're amazing 5th edition. They're still amazing now. Great option to bring in as allies. Space Marines have plenty of heavy support options now. That is one of that force organization section in the Codex has probably the most options next to HQs in terms of what you can bring in. So based on what tanks you might want to bring in as allies, or maybe you want to bring in the Stalker or something like that for anti-air, you have options with your Codex Marines as allies. Now, that is basically the same information really quickly condensed that I went over in my first video. The major things that have changed were the new units added to the Space Marine Codex, the new tanks, and the Centurions, as well as the changes to, I guess you could really kind of consider the Legion of the Damned, because they've changed and they're not a bad elite choice now. Not a bad elite choice now either. That's not really where this video is going to focus. My major focus that I want to talk about here is something that I don't think a lot of players exploit with their allied detachments. Now, I don't know the exact page number, but it's in the book. It states that basically battle brothers are subjective to each other's psychic powers. So this librarian can cast powers on his battle brother units, allies, or his own, from his own codex. He can cast powers on them and affect them. Now, there are powers or abilities that specifically state or units from X book. So, for example, if Cadre Fireblade joined a Space Marine Command Squad, he cannot benefit from Feel No Pain from the Apothecary. It states that in the FAQ for the Space Marine books that Feel No Pain will only affect units from their codex. Same thing for Blood Angels. Their Apothecaries or Sanguinary Priests are a little bit better. If a Sanguinary Priest joins Tigurius here, Tigurius cannot benefit from Feel No Pain because it will only affect Blood Angels. Now, that rule seems kind of counterproductive. It almost makes sense that it would work on Battle Brothers, but that's the rules. Psychic powers, as I previously stated, are not under that same rule, and they do affect Battle Brothers. Keynote there, Battle Brothers, not allies of convenience, desperate allies, whatever. Battle Brothers. Tau and Codex Marines are Battle Brothers, which I've tried to drive that point home. In my previous video, I had a similar setup to what I've got going on here. I've got a really small unit of Fire Warriors here just for visual, Cadre Fireblade who would be attached to them, and now the new 6th edition Tigurius, who is probably hands down one of the best HQs in the Codex Marine book now. We've also got my Count as quad gun. This is a Forge World burst cannon turret thing, but I'm using it as a quad gun because it's going to be my Tau's Aegis defense line. This is also a piece of an Aegis defense line from Brush for Hire, not painted. You can get different color inserts. We did these for our Kickstarter. If you are interested in getting a Xenos pattern Aegis defense line, we've got some for Tau, Eldar, Necrons, and Orcs, the equivalents of those. I'll put a link below in the description. Check us out. In addition, I'm going to put a link to Fritz's website, his forums. We are probably going to be, as Brush for Hire, is when I say we, is who I'm referring to, probably going to be supplying some Aegis defense lines for his contest. So if you are tight on dollars, check out his website. Here soon, you may be able to score some of these for free if you win. Now, that digression is over, back to the point at hand. Tigurius being one of the best and most efficient HQs in the new Space Marine Codex. Why? First of all, he had a point reduction from 5th edition to 6th. Big deal. Second, his powers are generated from any of the psychic power disciplines in the main rulebook. I was kind of disappointed that the Codex Marines didn't get their own specific set of powers. However, Tigurius is the only Codex Space Marine librarian who can make a selection from any of the disciplines. Codex Marines generally don't have access to divination. Tigurius does. In addition to that, Tigurius gets to roll, he gets to generate 3 powers, and when he rolls, he can re-roll any of those. So he has a really good chance of getting the powers that you want. On top of that, when he activates a power, if he fails, he gets to re-roll that power during the game. Every time he makes a psychic test, anytime he fails, he can re-roll it. He gets 2 chances, so the odds of him getting a Perils of the Warp, very low, very efficient. Now, the little knick-knack that I don't think players are exploiting, again, is the fact that he is a battle brother to the Tau. In addition to, maybe running Tigurius with Imperial Guardsmen, or any army that has a Psyker and is battle brothers with another army, whether it be Eldar bringing their Psykers in to help Tau, or, Space Marines allying with other Space Marines, maybe Blood Angels and Codex Marines to bring in Tigurius or another librarian, whatever the case may be, keep that in mind. So what makes this Tigurius particularly lethal with the Tau? Divination. For any of you players who have your rulebook handy or just know the powers by heart, look at the divination table, look at, I believe it's Prescience is the Primaris power, and look at all the other powers under divination, with the exception of a number 6, which is completely useless unless you're running a whole bunch of reserves or something like that, which Tigurius lets you re-roll anyway. So when you're generating your powers, you're looking to get, actually pretty much almost any of the divination powers are good. In particular, he can get Prescience, which lets target unit re-roll all failed to hit. He can get a power that gives a unit a 4+ invulnerability save. 4+ invulnerability save. That's amazing. These guys camp behind this Aegis defense line, getting a 4+ out in the open if he gets that power. There's another power that makes it to where a unit ignores cover if he gets that one. That's great. That's, less Pathfinder marker lights that you have to expend to get these to work. In addition, if you're doing like I am and you're bringing in a very, very small detachment of Tau Fire Warriors and Cadre Fireblade without Pathfinders, Tigurius has the potential to do for them what the Pathfinders do with ignoring cover. Now, let's take that one step further and talk about running the Aegis defense line with a quad gun and this setup. If you get some of those powers, the unit ignores cover, for example. Tigurius uses the quad gun to fire 4 shots, twin-linked, re-rolling on his ballistic skill, and now ignores cover because of that power if he's activated it. Phenomenal. Great for shooting at anything, flyers, ground, whatever. In addition to buffing the unit, which Fire Warriors, range 30, with Cadre Fireblade, if they don't move, 2 shots, re-rolling all failed to hit. Amazing. Now, tying this all together with the Codex Space Marine book, if your Codex Space Marines are your primary force, the Warlord trait that he has, I believe, is Storm of Fire, which is an additional reroll failed to hit type ability. And if we're running Codex Marines, you have the tactical doctrines, the Devastator Doctrine and the Assault Doctrine, if I've got those names right, which again is more rerolls for shooting with the tactical one and additional synergetic type effects for your army. So by running Space Marines as your primary detachment with Tigurius as your warlord and with the Ultramarines tactical doctrines and so forth, you have so much synergy going on with being able to efficiently hit and maneuver around the board and do what you got to do. He fits in so well. If you're bringing him in as an allied detachment for your Tau or another army, you may not benefit from the warlord traits or the Ultramarine doctrines. However, it's still, actually I think the doctrine still worked, just the warlord trait wasn't. He's still got a place. He still synergizes really well. Now, I focused primarily on Tigurius in this video. You could run standard librarians. The downside is they don't have access to divination. So at that point, you may be running a librarian that is going to be doing different or fulfilling a different role. It's probably not going to be a librarian that's going to sit back. It might be a librarian that's rolling on biomancy or something like that and being aggressive with a unit that he's attached to. That's something to consider. But at 165 points, Tigurius is not a bad choice now, and he lends himself very, very well as being an ally or bringing in allies and buffing them if they are battle brothers. That being said, guys, that is pretty much a really, really quick and condensed view of my opinion on the Tau and Space Marines as allies. I would like to do another segment trying to tie both of these, the Tau and the Marines, in together with the Farsight Enclave, which are also battle brothers. I will try and get a video out talking about that and see what differences there may be, what tactical ideas that I may be able to come up with. As always, guys, if you enjoyed this video or it was in some way informative, please like and subscribe, tell your friends. Also, don't hesitate to comment below. If you think I missed something or you liked what I said, general comments, questions, whatever, feel free. I will try and respond. I do value your input, and I'm trying to take away from what you guys are saying and make my YouTube channel better. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and happy wargaming.